Hello people, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sorin and today we're gonna take a look at the War Gods rewards. It's the 116 F3, the brand new tier 10 Chinese auto-loading heavy tank worth 50, maybe 60,000 bonds. Let's take a look and see. So we don't have the Chieftain for roughly about 2 years, which make me question: is the Chieftain gonna be once again in the upcoming campaigns? So it's really the question: is it worth to spend your bonds right now on this vehicle? Is it any good? Or you can just pass it, maybe next time get in the top 10,000 and get it for only 4,000 bonds. Other than that, there are some vehicles that can still be more competitive than this vehicle, such as the 907, maybe like a VK if you're a fan of a heavy tank with a derpy gun, maybe the E5 if you're a fan of the E5, or the Carro de Combattimento, which overall it's auto reload, or therefore it's more flexible than the 116. Sorry. So let's jump into the statistics of this vehicle and talk about this tank. It's really hard to compare it, honestly, mainly because it's an auto loader for China. It's the first auto loader, and it has such an impressive gun. But this is like the main balancing factor. In terms of that, I'm gonna compare it to the Rinoceronte, the Foch 155, only for one big reason, and the other competitors from China, the 113 and the 1115A. Therefore, this vehicle, it has pretty much the same DPM of under 2000, such as the Rinoceronte, maybe because it have the auto loader, and this is why is the balancing factor. 530 alpha damage, it's alright. I mean, it's better than the Rinoceronte and the 5A, therefore bigger than the 113. And in terms of the penetration, it's really decent compared to the other Chinese heavy tanks. The rate of fire is 3.7, which is yeah, not really great comparing to the 113, and therefore shots pretty much like twice as much. And yeah, overall this vehicle has a really bad reload time of 38 seconds, which in terms of gameplay it's pretty much the same as the Foch 155. You load for 40 seconds, maybe 30 seconds with everything like good crew, food, ventilation. You get in the position, it takes you 10 seconds to reload. That is like in the best case scenario, we can just burst your enemies, and therefore you have to take cover for another 30 seconds. Such as the Foch, you pretty much reload, you try to do as much damage in your time, and therefore once again you're out of the battle for the next 30-40 seconds. Other than that, let's get the Foch out of this comparison. Good. So once again, 10 seconds to unload 1600 damage, it is a lot. In comparison, the T-57 Heavy does the same amount of damage in only 6 seconds. Or maybe the Kran that is pretty much the best comparison vehicle that I can compare the 116 to. The Kran takes only 5.5 seconds, pretty much like half of a second more, to do 1300 damage, and you have a better reload, you have better mobility, you have better of everything. Uh, yeah, what can I say? This vehicle doesn't look like at first the best. The caliber is okay, 130, which means you can avoid much any 40-meter play like any vehicle in this comparison. The shell velocity, it's meh on AP. It's actually Chinese, it's not really best. On APCRs you get 1350, that's actually much better. But Rhinoceros on APCR gets 1450, so therefore, um, if you want to be competitive, you want to fire only APCRs just to have the better shell velocity. If you want to snipe, well, not really snipe, but obviously you want to make yourself easier to pre-aim, because shells that have like 950, 1000 shell velocity kind of tend to have an arc and therefore miss a lot at longer distances. In terms of ammo capacity, it's much better. It's 42 rounds, which means you can take a variety of AP, APCRs, and HE for any situation. Therefore, you should take intuition. Intuition is a must due to its long reload time. In terms of gun handling, looks like it's worse than the Rhinoceronte, the Acura as well. The dispersion is a bit better than the Rhinoceronte, but it's still worse than the Kranwagen. So therefore, yeah, the gun handling is like really the best, but what can I do? This tank has to be balanced. And the main catch of this vehicle is the 8 degrees of gun depression, which is better than the 113 and the Chinese variants. So keep in mind this tank is going to be a bit more flexible. The mobility, once again, it's mediocre. You have a top speed of 35 km/h and a reverse speed, which is actually nice, of 20, with a 14.5 power to ratio and with mediocre ground resistance. Therefore, you're gonna get like the same mobility as you have on the IS-4 and the SC2. And I'm trying to compare this vehicle to as many Tech 3 variants to you, so you can see how the tank will feel like. Because I believe everyone can have access to any Tech 3 variant other than something that is reward. In terms of the armor, this is where this tank is shining. Taking a look at the vehicle itself, at the model, um, yeah, you don't have any cupola. Well, you do have a cupola, but this is only 1 pixel. And taking a look at this thing over here, this is like the viewport or something like that. Whenever you're gonna fire flat into the weak point, that is my font, sorry for that. You are gonna get critical hit and not damage because you're gonna hit the first module and that will absorb the damage. This is what is happening mostly when you fight a Kran wagon when it's in cooldown. You hit that viewport or at the very seat and it's gonna be a critical hit. So yeah, hitting this vehicle at 100 meters plus is gonna be a bit difficult if you're fighting on a playing ground. If this vehicle is using its gun depression, yeah, you don't have anything to shoot. In terms of the mantle, the gun, the turret is really strong. I mean, anything is gonna bounce except maybe like the Foch 155 hit round, the Jack Panzer, but if you're gonna low roll, yeah, it's still gonna bounce. But looks like those bars over here are gonna be easily penetratable. Well, not really easily, but you have to shoot them first and pray that you're gonna high roll your penetration. And the upper plate is a bounce, the lower plate is a bounce, the lower plate I mean, and the overall the bar itself it's 270, and that is really impressive. And now even this bar over here is like 300. So yeah, this frontal harama it's really good in terms of lower plate and turret. So yeah, this tank it does have its really good armoring, but because the turret is bigger than the tank itself, whenever you are trying to sidescrape, this is gonna be a weak point, like you have on the Panzer Krampfwagen 7, the Panzer 5 or the Panzer 7, I suppose to say. So yeah, in terms of the side, you are such a huge silhouette. FV4, 5, FV103 are gonna be really happy to see you with your side because this is gonna be like easy hit, easy hit. Rear armor, easy HE pants. But yeah, this tank fighting on a ridge line is gonna be impossible to take out pretty much. It's gonna be as bad as a Chieftain. And once again, if you're gonna have this vehicle locked at the back, it has only 3 degrees of gun depression because this thing it's over here has this thing. This the engine is a bit up, I suppose to say. Other than that, what can I say? This vehicle is gonna be obtained by people that have, let's say, 10,000 top 10,000 fame points, and that is people that fought on the elite front and advanced front. Those fronts get like 300% multiplier to your fame points, and the elite front gets like 1,000%, like 10 times more or 5 times or something like that. I don't really remember, but people that know how to wiggle, to make their cupolas as weak, to hide their weak points, those are gonna be the people that are gonna receive the 116. And do we really need this in the game once again? I don't know what to say. We already have the Kran wagon, we already have like the tier 10. It's only cooldown kings, cooldown monsters that you don't have anything to shoot apart, just spam the hit and hopefully you're gonna go through. Other than that, 2100 hit points to boot. It's acceptable. It's like in the middle of the um, small heavy tanks, I suppose to say, because super heavies get like 2500, 2600, up to 3000. So yeah, the hit points are gonna be something that you really need to be careful of. And camouflage, because this tank is such a huge tank, you're gonna get worse camo than anything on this side. 400 meters view range is really nice because in terms of the equipment, you want to take ventilation just to put yourself a better DPM and just to save some seconds of that reload. Maybe the vertical stabilizer to make your vehicle just more accurate. Other than that, with 5 seconds intra clip, you have the all time in the wall of tanks to make your reticle as small as possible. The aiming time is 2.78 seconds. Yeah, that's pretty bad. The dispersion once again. Maybe you wanna put an aiming device, but once again for this you have the all time in the world of time to make your shell that you connect your shells, and maybe a turbo or an improved hardening to get yourself more hit points. But you need as much mobility as possible because, as I mentioned into one of my other videos, that mobility is really important in 2023 because fast games in 5 minutes you just finish your battle. You don't get to fire your shells because the enemies are already dead. And yeah, what can I say? I'll pick this device, all-terrain suspension, I believe, because the ground resistances are bad, and therefore you need to make yourself as mobile as possible, except especially on swamps. The mobility slot you put if you want to put your charger, your turbocharger on your second slot, but I'll pick the firepower to get myself 3 degrees, 3% better stabilization. Um, what else do I want? I think I want this, the power supply, just to get myself better top speed. And other than that, the um, the 2% hit points doesn't get you any better dispersion, so therefore I'll not pick anything in this. Let's put Brothers in Arms. I already have Brothers in Arms. Recon, view range perfection. Let's also put food and yeah, 476 meters view range is much better. And we just picked the DPM up to 2120, which is alrighty for a tier 10. I mean, it's among the worst comparison to, I don't know, other tanks, like even for an autoloader, this DPM sucks. I mean, like the Manticore, the EBR have pretty much the same DPM, but those are light tanks. And other than that, what can I say? The tank shines only with its armor, with its how to say, it's capable of bouncing shells, but if you're not fighting on a ridge line, then you are really teammate dependent. You cannot go solo. You have too much of a reload time. You're the same as a Foch 155. You have to rely on your allies that they're gonna cover you while you reload. So therefore you need to be really careful, and this tank requires a higher skill cap than even maybe like the car or the combatiment, because that's an auto reloader and you can just adapt to the situation. So is the 116 worth 40, 50,000 bonds? Yeah, I don't think for me it is not like the best deal. If I'll be in top 10,000 players for fame points and I will pay 4,000 bonds, yes, sure, but if I'll have to spend all my bonds on this, no, I better spend it on the Chieftain itself. That is a much better tank than this. You have the mobility, you have the gun handling, you have the penetration on APCRs is like pretty low, but once again, it's APCRs. Um, you have better armor, you have pretty much the same health. Um, 2 degrees extra of gun depression, you have better mobility as I mentioned, and with rammer and everything, I believe you fire, let's say, every 7 seconds, which is much better than this. Without further ado, this was the video. This was 116 F3, and is it worth keeping? I believe yes. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully I give you an opinion whether you should buy this vehicle or not. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you legends in the next one. Bye bye.